My husband's business trips were fake, and he was secretly engaged to another woman. When I found out the truth, we teamed up to destroy him. I don't even know how to process this. I feel like my whole life has been a lie. My husband, Jake, 34 million, and I, 32 female, have been together for 8 years, married for 5. I thought we were happy. Sure, we had our ups and downs, but who doesn't? Jake works in finance and travels a lot for work. At least that's what I thought. He has these business trips every few months, usually to New York or Chicago. They're always last minute, and he claims they're crucial for client meetings. I never questioned it. He's always been reliable. Or so I thought. Last week he told me he had to fly to San Francisco for 4 days. No big deal. I kissed him goodbye at the airport, watched him go through security, and went home like any other time. That night, I was scrolling through Instagram in bed when I saw something that made my stomach drop. It was a post from our mutual friend, Sarah. She had uploaded a story from a bar downtown, just a couple of miles from our house. Nothing crazy, just a group of people drinking. But in the background, slightly blurred, was my husband, sitting at a booth with another woman. I froze. My heart was pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I zoomed in on the image. I wasn't imagining it. That was definitely Jake. And he wasn't just sitting there. He was leaning in close, his hand resting on the woman's thigh. She was laughing, her hand brushing against his arm. I felt sick. I couldn't just let it go. I needed proof. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. But if he was supposed to be in San Francisco, why was he at a bar here? I grabbed my keys, threw on a hoodie, and drove straight there. I wasn't sure what I was going to do if I saw him. Was I going to confront him, watch from a distance? My hands were shaking as I parked outside. I stepped inside, heart pounding. I scanned the room. He wasn't at the booth anymore. My stomach twisted. Had I missed him? And then I saw him. He was standing near the back, by the restrooms, talking to the woman from the photo. Except now, they weren't just talking. His hand was on her waist. She was whispering something in his ear. He laughed and kissed her. I felt like I had been punched in the gut. I must have made some kind of noise because at that exact moment, Jake turned his head, and our eyes met. At that moment, time slowed. The bar was loud, people laughing, music pumping, glasses clinking, but I couldn't hear any of it. The only thing I could focus on was Jake's face, the way his eyes widened in horror, the way his whole body stiffened like a deer caught in headlights. The woman beside him noticed his reaction and turned to look at me. She was gorgeous, long dark hair, perfect skin, designer dress that fit her like a glove. She glanced between us, confused for a second, before realization dawned on her face. She knew exactly who I was, and that was the moment I realized this wasn't some random bar hookup. Jake took a step toward me, his mouth opening like he was about to say something. I didn't give him the chance. I spun on my heel and bolted out of the bar, my breath coming in short gasps. My heart felt like it was going to explode. I barely made it to my car before I heard him call my name. Emma, wait! I yanked the door open, but before I could get inside, he grabbed my arm. Let me explain, he said, his voice desperate. I yanked my arm away so hard I almost lost my balance. Explain what, Jake? That you're a liar, a cheater? That your business trip was actually you screwing some woman right here in our own city? His jaw tightened, and he looked around nervously, as if he was afraid someone might hear. Like he cared about his reputation more than our marriage. It's not what you think, he tried again. I laughed bitterly. Really? Because what I think is that my husband, the man I've loved for 8 years, just kissed another woman while he was supposed to be 2,000 miles away. So go ahead, Jake. What exactly do you think I'm thinking? He ran a hand through his hair, frustration clear on his face. Just, can we talk at home? Why? I snapped. So you can come up with a better lie? At that moment, the woman from the bar stepped outside. She hesitated when she saw us, then walked over, crossing her arms. Jake, she said, her voice cool and measured. Should I go? Should I go? Like she had been invited, like this was her night, and I was the intruder. I turned back to Jake. Oh my God, how long has this been going on? Silence. And in that silence, I had my answer. I felt a sharp pain in my chest, like my heart was physically breaking. But then, I noticed something. She wasn't just standing there, looking guilty. She wasn't avoiding my gaze. In fact, she was looking at me with something almost like pity. And then the words came out of her mouth so casually, so effortlessly, that they didn't even register at first. I'm his fiancé. Everything around me blurred. The streetlights, the passing cars, the city noise, it all faded into static. I stared at her, my mind scrambling to make sense of what she had just said. No, I whispered. That's not, that's not possible. She tilted her head slightly, studying me like she was trying to figure out whether I was playing dumb or genuinely clueless. You didn't know? She asked. Jake groaned, rubbing his temples. Rachel, for fuck's sake! But I barely heard him. My breath caught in my throat, and suddenly, I felt like I might throw up. My husband, the man I had been married to for 5 years, had a whole other fiancé. I felt like my brain had short-circuited. His fiancé? That word didn't belong in my reality. It didn't fit anywhere in the past 8 years of my life. It was like someone had dropped an alternate version of my existence into my hands and expected me to just accept it. Jake's other woman, Rachel, stood there, watching me carefully. Not smug, not cruel. If anything, she looked almost annoyed. I turned to Jake, my hands shaking. Tell me she's lying. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. That was my answer. Rachel sighed, clearly exasperated. Jesus, Jake, you really thought you could juggle two relationships forever? She turned to me. Look, I didn't know about you. I swear. If I had, I never would have. I put up a hand to stop her. I couldn't handle hearing the details right now. I needed to get away. I needed time to think. But before I could move, Rachel crossed her arms and asked the one question I hadn't even considered yet. How much money has he taken from you? My breath caught. What? She looked at me, eyes sharp. Jake, has he ever asked you for money, investments, big emergency expenses? I frowned, my mind racing. Jake handled our finances. He always had. He made good money in finance, so I never questioned it. He paid the bills, the mortgage, handled the taxes. But then I remembered something. 6 months ago, he had convinced me to refinance our house, said it was for better rates and long-term savings. I had trusted him completely, signed whatever he put in front of me. And a few weeks after that, he had drained our joint savings account. At the time, he told me it was for a high-stakes investment, something that would triple our money. It had sounded risky, but he had reassured me, said it was our future, that I should trust him. I did. Rachel's expression hardened. Yeah, that's what I thought. I swallowed, suddenly feeling like I was about to collapse. What? What are you saying? Rachel turned to Jake, her voice dripping with disgust. Tell her, or I will. Jake glared at her, but she didn't flinch. I grabbed his arm. Jake, what the hell is she talking about? He exhaled sharply, rubbing his face like he was exhausted by this whole situation, as if he were the victim here. And then, finally, He spoke. I was going to tell you eventually, he muttered. It's just complicated. Rachel scoffed. Oh, I bet. I stared at him, waiting. My whole body felt numb. I needed the money, Jake admitted. I had some bad investments, debt. I thought I could fix it before you ever found out. How much? I demanded. He hesitated. Rachel answered for him. At least 500,000. I gasped, my knees almost giving out. You're lying. Rachel shook her head. Number? And trust me, I'm just as screwed as you are. He pulled the same shit with me, told me he was investing in real estate opportunities, convinced me to hand over my savings, and guess what? That money's gone. I felt like I was going to be sick. Jake had lied, cheated, stolen, and now I was left with nothing. I backed away from him, my breath coming in short gasps. Tell me you didn't, Tell me you didn't put our house up for collateral. Silence. That was all I needed to know. Rachel let out a bitter laugh. You know what's funny? I was actually planning our wedding this weekend. She held up her phone and turned it toward me. There on the screen was a website for a luxury beach resort, one I recognized, because Jake had once told me he wanted to take me there for our anniversary. This weekend? I repeated, my voice hollow. Rachel nodded. Yeah, and here's the kicker. She tapped her screen again, flipping to another page. My stomach dropped as I read it. A marriage license application, filed just 3 days ago. I felt like I had been erased. Not only was my husband engaged to another woman, he was literally about to marry her. Jake ran a hand down his face. Look, it's not. I cut him off. Don't. Just don't. For the first time in my life, I had no words, just an overwhelming, all-consuming sense of betrayal. Rachel exhaled sharply, then turned to me. Listen, I don't know about you, but I'm not letting him get away with this. I looked at her, and for the first time that night, I realized she wasn't my enemy. Jake had played both of us, and if there was one thing I knew, it was that he was going to pay for it. I squared my shoulders. I'm in. Rachel smirked. Good. Jake's eyes widened. Wait, what? We ignored him. Meet me tomorrow, Rachel said, sliding me her number. I have a plan. I nodded, and with that, we turned and walked away, leaving Jake standing there, panicked and powerless for the first time in his life, because he had spent years lying to us. Now, it was our turn.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit notifications, and if you like this video, press like button. See you in next Deep Reddit videos.